All right, so this is going to be clone states. Many of you were probably around for the keynote and have a pretty good idea what we're going to be talking about here, but here we go. So this is a full introduction for me. I am a game designer. I work on Team Size Matters. I didn't talk much about it yesterday, but Team Size Matters is growth and monetization, which actually covers a pretty wide range of stuff. Our last big feature was skill trading, but we've done a lot of things. We actually did like the command destroyers too, and I don't know, a whole bunch of stuff. So we cover kind of a wide range, but we're the main team for Clone States working alongside Psycho Sisters. I also put here that I played EVE once because it's relevant for the talk, and I've been called Killed 2 quite a few times already this EVE Vegas, so some of you at least remember that, but that does have something to do with why I wanted to do the Clone States talk this way. So, as for this talk, there's a few, I ended up doing it this way because there's a lot of different kind of goals converging, and I hope that kind of felt cool for you guys and for me. The biggest one, of course, is to talk about Clone States, to give you guys an idea of how Clone States works and what's possible under Clone States as an alpha clone. But there's some other things too. One of them is I mentioned this in the keynote yesterday, but I want to kind of approach the fact that testing for systemic changes can be really hard, but this felt like an opportunity where we could do some of it, even though it's not going to be exactly the same. So I wanted to do that if I could. And another one is that one of the most common questions that we get when we're at any kind of EVE events is whether or not we play EVE at all and what that's like. And so this was something else I wanted to try and hit if I could, is give you some idea of what it's like to play EVE as a CCPer and whether or not we do it, and some things about how it works, so I could fit some of that in. And then also I sort of saw an opportunity just for me to talk about how I really like the game. I miss talking about the game as a player, and I felt like there was an opportunity using all 4 of these to play as an alpha and get to do all these things, talk about how I love the game, show some cool stuff about Clone States, show that I can learn some stuff from myself actually about testing the feature, and then talk to you guys some about playing the game as a CCPer. So hopefully kind of all of that is mixed in here. And the way I wanted to do that, which again you probably already know, is through this character. This is Vegas Alpha. It's a character I created on Tranquility 3 weeks ago, roughly, and have been playing since sort of incognito. The idea, and I want to clarify because I saw some rude Reddit comments that misunderstood. So I said, I had some ideas for how I wanted this to work. I wanted it to be an authentic kind of version of playing EVE as an alpha. And so to do that, I needed the alpha skill list, and I did give myself ISK for my other character to get injectors so I could get it done before I got here, but I didn't help myself in any other ways. And as for being a CCPer, there's no benefits by being a dev. I don't get money, I don't get any kind of privilege at all, so that's the only kind of help I got. Probably most of you are pretty familiar, but a quick rundown of what being an alpha character actually means in terms of skills. Well, in terms of mechanics, you should know it just means limitations on which skills you can train. You can fall back into alpha even if you've already trained a lot on a character, you've played for years and years, and then you lapse, you go into an alpha state, you only have access to this set of skills that we lay out. And then if you're a new player, you can just train up until that list is maxed, and then you can't train anymore unless you become Omega. So that list, you guys probably can't make out the numbers, but the primary, the core of the skill list is frigates, destroyers, and cruisers. There's also mining frigate and industrial, and then kind of all the relevant support for each race in terms of weapons and tanks, and then some other necessary things like a little bit of trading skills, a little bit of standing skills, science, stuff like that. And it all adds up to about 4.2 million skill points. So put that in and got started and headed out into the world, and yeah, that was the plan. And I guess I should say, for myself, what I really wanted to see was get a good perspective over as many of activities that alphas have access to as possible, and see how they felt to play with this skill list. So I'm going to do most of this just through telling stories about what happened. The first one here is what happened when I actually started, which was really pretty wild. I haven't, I've played new parts of the game a lot, when we work on NPE or develop whatever changes to exploration. We go and do things a new player might do, but I haven't had to worry about ISK for 10 years. When I started playing, I I ratted a little bit in 2007, and then started making PvP videos pretty quick, and then people just give you money forever. So I never really had to worry about paying for anything. And it's crazy to start without any money. It's really scary. It makes everything really intense. So I don't know why this is here this after I injected. So the first thing I did is went to LowSec and just started looking for garbage in Rex. I didn't want to do, I mean, I think it's important maybe to say, like, I didn't want to pretend to be a new player and like go through the career agents and all that. I just wanted to pretend more that I was like an alpha who's, you know, coming into the game after having played a long time ago and knows a lot about how the game works, but was still broke and stuff. So yeah, I ran around in LowSec trying to collect garbage, which actually worked out fine. Like 2 jumps into Kildare LowSec. This is a camp here, but I was able to fly past it. And I grabbed like 2 million worth of Tech 2 drones that were sitting on a gate, which is perfect. Little starter fund. But I forgot that looting suspect flagged me, and so I just flew straight into Jita and got killed. Which was actually really disappointing. I felt really lucky to have found that loot and so quickly. And I was like, man, that really sucks. Whatever, I went back to LowSec and actually found stuff again. So I flew back through the gate camp and flew back a couple jumps in and found another wreck and got like 1.5 million. I felt really good about it. This time I didn't die when I went to Jita and fit up in Imicus. I thought exploration seemed like a really good direction for me. I actually was inspired by this guy that you just saw the presentation from. He was exploring on Twitch a few days before I started this on an alpha character, and that got me thinking about this in a way. So I was like, I can do that, no problem. So I fit up my Imicus, and I set a destination for somewhere in Cloud Ring, and this is the camp that I jumped into and lost my Imicus right away, died again. I was like, man, this is rough. Like I like such bad luck. But because of opportunity rewards, which have a little bit of ISK and the little leftover I had from my first looting, I was able to fit another Imicus. This one wasn't fully fit. It was pretty funny. It has like empty slots all over the place. I couldn't afford the rangefinder and the salvager and stuff, but whatever. And then I picked a different region, marking executive outcomes as an enemy forever for my character, but went somewhere else for now. So this is actually the first site that I went into. And this just was pretty good. I got really lucky on my first run. This is actually the first haul back, which is about 50 million, which only took a few hours. I mean, I was probably out there for 2 hours or something, flying around, grabbing sites. But it was terrifying. I mean, I was thinking of This Is Eve, when the guy's flying back. I don't remember. Is that Johnny Pugh? Can't remember who it was in the trailer, but he's saying like, I have a whole bunch of stuff in my hold and I got to get back and there's people chasing me. I was just sweating like all the way back out of Great Wildlands. Wingspan, sorry, yes, Wingspan. But it worked out. So this was like my kind of nest egg. I actually, making it back with this got me just rolling into a rhythm where I could afford pretty much whatever I wanted. And so I tried a bunch of different stuff, but this was just really solid through the whole experience. And I was surprised how easy it was to pay for things really quickly. And actually, I think plexing into Omega for people who do start, don't want to pay, won't be unrealistic at all, at least the way exploration value is right now. If it gets swamped by people, it might change, but that was awesome. It made me feel pretty good about prospects for alphas. So, a little bit more about income. I did try a whole bunch of things. I'm going to move here sort of from most traditional to least traditional. So I mentioned yesterday I started in the venture. I tried mining, which I really have never done. Went to LowSec because naturally I was like, go somewhere that's a little higher risk, higher value. I don't mind that. I found some empty systems. But I couldn't believe it. This NPC warped into the belt, and I don't know why. I was just like, it'll be no problem. I'll just turn on my shield booster and keep mining, and it'll be fine. And so then the NPC killed me. It's so bad. I was like, every time something like this happened, I was thinking about how you guys would end up seeing the kill board, and I just felt terrible about myself. But whatever, ventures are really cheap, so I got another one and I went back. And this was fine. I mean, like I said yesterday, I made money. I didn't make a ton. I think for someone looking for something a little more relaxing, this is going to be fine and lots of people will do it. But we very intentionally tried to design this skill list in a way where stuff like mining, which scales off of skill points and scales off of number of characters, is relatively constrained so that we don't, cause a bunch of economic problems. I also tried some PvE. This is me in a worthless high-sec site. I don't it's just pretty, I guess. But this is a 3 out of 10 in low sec, which I was able to run in a Vexor, no problem. I didn't get a great drop from this, and it took quite a while, but that was fine. This is me in a 4 out of 10 in high sec, which I could also handle in this Vexor, even though I just made up the fit on the fly and didn't know what I was doing, which was pretty great, except that right at the very end, like in the last room, I was really happy, and then a Stratios worked in and stole my loot. That was also super disappointing. I was like, I put a lot of time, this was hard, and I was hoping to get paid off, and he just ran off with it. He didn't care at all, and I couldn't do anything about it, so that was kind of disappointing. So, didn't do tons more PV after that. I tried faction warfare. This is something you guys talked a lot about, expecting to be really popular for alphas, and I think that's true. Probably it'll be one of the more lucrative options to run faction warfare sites. I did actually find this experience pretty difficult though, at least in the area in low sec that I spent most of my time, which was sort of near Rennes. It was really hard to keep from getting killed a lot. I mean, I couldn't run novices and smalls without having people come in every 2 and 3 minutes and try and kill me. So, I mean, there's probably quieter areas where that wouldn't be the case and I'd make pretty good money, but I actually ended up dropping faction warfare just because the limitations on where I could travel and getting killed a lot when I was trying to make money talked me out of it, but definitely a good option. Towards the end of the character, I actually ended up making pretty decent money trading. This is the market in Rennes for Kaldari Navy. In any matter where there was no one selling any, but there's plenty for sale in low sec, so I just moved it and doubled the price and made enough money that I didn't have to explore for the last couple days of the character. It's interesting though, like this is another area where we did restrict the scaling a bit. You have only 17 orders per alpha character, and of course you can have a couple per account, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is not, no one's gonna end up probably being a major trader out of an alpha just because they're gonna want more orders, but it worked fine. You can do really well with just simple trading stuff, even with just this to work with, so I was happy with that. And then at the most untraditional end of the spectrum, this is me in a thorax, and I was in 0-0 roaming around looking for PvP and found a mining group in some ore site, and I warped to the site, but the mining ships were gone. I was hoping to, gank some poor miners, but they were gone by the time I got there, but they didn't have time to take their cans, so there's all this ore in cans in the site, and you guys probably can't see the chat, but I'll make it bigger. And even though 3 million was weird, there was probably like 12 million in total value in the cans, and I was like, 3 million's fine, that's enough, I'll take it. But, and this seems a bit silly, but I think that this is also a really important indicator for how clone states will work. A lot of emergent, EVE, untraditional stuff is absolutely possible. There's no way that we can ever keep skills are never going to restrict this kind of thing, and I think this kind of thing is some of the best stuff EVE has to offer. So they uncloaked a cheetah that was named Eat Shit, and and then they warped 2 sabers and 4 VNIs to the belt, so I blew up 2 cans and flew away as fast as I could. That's pretty funny. Yeah, and that actually happened again like a few days later too, so that was really fun. All right, but let's talk a little bit about the part of EVE that is closer to my heart, which is PvP. This was sort of my, the goal I set out for is like to show for myself that this was a viable way to play even with my playstyle, which is usually to not play with other people because, I don't know, I have like ego issues or whatever. And so I just wanted to solo, and I wanted to make sure that was going to work, because I knew like being in groups is obviously going to work. Having more ships is always good, and I'm actually really excited to see what happens once there's alpha corporations and alpha fleets and the kind of things they can accomplish. But I wanted to see if this worked. And I'll be honest, if you guys have gone and checked the kill board, it was pretty brutal, but it always is for me. Soloing is always tough, and part of the way I do it is to be okay with losing a lot of ships because it's worth it if you get good fights. So I died some. This is dying to Kaldari. I thought I was going to win this. This was going to be my first big win, and it was really heartbreaking. It was a Saber and a Caracal Navy issue, which I engaged on a gate, and I thought I'd be able to pick the Saber off before I died, but that's about as low as he got, and they got me, so that was kind of sad. This is, I got tackled by carries and an Ares in 0-0 and killed by a couple sacrileges, and this is in low sec. I thought I was going to pick off a Firetail, but the rest of his frigate gang got there just in time and saved him, and this was pretty typical. Like I definitely lost a lot of fights, but that's just kind of how soloing goes. I wanted to stop here to say this group, which killed me in low sec, actually afterwards asked me if I wanted to join their corp and if they could teach me PvP, and I think that's going to be a real common experience for alphas getting involved. If you can get out and do stuff, you'll get adopted and things will go well for you. It was funny sometimes trying to figure out how to talk to these people. I had conversations like this. It's hard. Like I know you guys are gonna know later, so I don't want to be a horrible liar. But I actually ended up having 4 or 5 people sort of be really cool, send me mails, try and engage with me and get me involved in their social groups in just a couple weeks, without me even really trying to. So you guys, are always doing an amazing job picking up new players and trying to help people out. So that was cool. As for, man, I know I'm talking super faster than I did in my practice. I always do. So as for actual fights, all right, so I tried Tristan a little bit. I generally really suck at frigs and don't understand how they work. So I tried to copy some fits and see if I could make this work because it's more affordable, which is great. This is the fit that I was using for most of the time, which I copied from Rain, but then later I ended up copying Fintaru's Newt Tristan. And I wanted to give him a shout out. He's been doing a lot of playing as an alpha, but he gave himself a bunch of money, so you can see, if you go watch some of his fights and streams, you can see what's possible when you use Navy ships, for instance, which is really cool. But anyway, this is the fit I'm using in this fight, and this is actually the first fight where I got a kill. And I was running a novice in low sec, and this is what happened. So running a site with there's another Tristan in the belt, and a comet warps in, and hoping to kill us both, I assume. And here again, you get to see me do some really bad management. I'm trying to keep range, not realizing it's a rail comet, and he's actually very happy to have me where I'm trying to be. And I'm just constantly struggling to get tackle applied for some reason. He's doing a pretty good job kiting. And it's looking pretty bad. The other thing is I'm using a Tech 2 rep instead of an ancillary rep because ancillary reps are really expensive. So my tank isn't as strong as it probably should be as well. So even though we're kind of being goofy and awkward here, we end up somehow kiting this guy around. I don't even know if he's tackled right now. I don't have a point on him, but he's probably just really tunnel visioned on trying to kill me, which is fair because I'm really tunnel visioned on trying to kill him. And it goes right down to the wire, but we actually get him. So that was cool. And that was really close. It was a super exciting fight, and it was really fun to get a first kill. I was like, okay, this isn't hopeless. I had died a lot before this happened, most of the time just jumping into camps and stuff, but I was like, okay, it's not the worst. It can work out eventually. But I ended up flying a lot more of this ship, the one I talked about yesterday. This just fits my style a lot more, and while it doesn't fight super even with other cruisers because of the guns not being Tech 2. It depends on the cruiser, but it's really solid for picking off smaller ships. So most of the time when I was out hunting in this Thorax, I'm flying this, the double web structure fit, and the plan is just try to find smaller, faster ships that I can pin down and kill and then get away, and it's really good for that. I had a question actually yesterday about why why my guns weren't grouped, and so I just hit that really quick. You can see I have neutrons and ions. That's totally fine. They have the same range profile, so I'm just squeezing out as much as I can with the power grid that I have. Any of you speculators out there also, I would recommend picking up all the integrated drones you can. They're the more affordable upgrade versus Fed Navy drones for alphas, and I think they're going to be kind of really, really important. So most of my ships are flying those. Spoilers. So that's what I was flying most of the time. So let's get into some fights. So this first one, I'm flying around in Providence. I jump a gate, and there's a Hurricane and a Sweeple. And this is kind of what I'm hoping for. For some reason, the Hurricane's a bit off the gate, and he's not moving much. So I'm just trying to fly away from him, drag this Feeple with me, and then when I get him separated enough, turn on this Feeple and kill him. The Hurricane does pick up speed, though. He was just kind of slow getting started for some reason. And also, this is a chance where I could test if he was arty, because if he is, I probably don't have a chance. He'll just kill me while I try and kite. But I'm not taking any damage. I don't even know if he's going to engage. So I just burn off to outside the Hurricane's lock range and then turn on this Feeple. You can see how that goes. And he goes down super fast. It's a, so that was another problem I had a lot of the time. I was so greedy on this character, I really wanted the loot, so even though the Hurricanes come in, I'm like, I gotta get this stuff. It means I can pay for another ship. But that's bad news, because then I get tackled and then I die with more stuff in my wreck, which hurts my ISK efficiency. It's like a terrible trade-off. But actually, the Thorax is super fast, so even though the Hurricane did manage to catch up there and he's still going, I think it's like 1,500 there or something, 1,200, with an overheated micro warp, I can easily peace out and get away. So that was my first Feeple kill, and that was really exciting, because as I said yesterday, that was kind of my starting goal for the character. It's like, I gotta kill these people, prove to everybody they're actually underpowered and that we need to buff them. Don't worry, that's not happening. All right, here's another engagement in the Thorax. This one I'm being chased by a group through Peregrine Falls, and here there's 3 ships on the gate: Gnosis, Thrasher, and shoot, I can't see it, a Caracol. And this worked out perfect. I burned back to the gate, and as I burned back, the Gnosis and the Caracol aggress me, so I know they're pinned over there for 1 minute, while the Thrasher is the only one who can chase through to tackle me. So I'm hoping in that 1 minute window I can get him to try and get me, and then I can kill him and then get away before the other 2 ships come through. So I uncloak in a line, hoping he'll tackle, but he's a little slow in cloaking, which sucks because it means they get more time to come through. This Mana Core comes, but smartly just jumps through instead of trying to engage me. And now I'm like, no, like, please uncloak sooner, Thrasher, like. But he does, finally. And people will almost always do this. I mean, they probably wouldn't in low sec, but out here, once you're like running away from people, they'll always just burn straight at you to try and get tackle when they get you on a gate. And like, this Thorax will just chew up Thrashers for days. So I am pretty happy with how that worked out and trying to burn him down, but you'll see people starting to come into local, their aggression timer's up and they're starting to come in and come after me, starting to uncloak now, but Thrasher goes down. And actually I get greedy here too. I'm like, there's only Mana Cores. I don't know what happened to the rest of the fleet, but the Mana Cores come through first. So I'm like, oh great, I'll get some bomber kills too. Maybe those guys just left for some reason. But then the Mana Core is faster than me, which is weird and disappointing. So, and now the bigger ships are coming in, so now I'm like, okay, that's not gonna work out. I'm just gonna turn and get out of here. But flying away from the torpedoes is good. They can't catch up and don't do good damage. And nobody's got tackle, so it shouldn't be too bad for me to warp away. Yeah, sweet. And then these guys keep chasing me, naturally. And this is another thing that always happens to me when I'm roaming like this, is I get some engagement, it's fine, and then I start getting chased, but with an aggression timer I can't log out, and then I end up pinned in a system, and then I get bored, so I just try and fight them instead of like being patient. So then I take another fight here, where I've just jumped a gate, they're behind me, and things have gotten worse. They've, of course, accumulated more people, so there's Feeples now, too. There really was Feeples in like almost every fight that I had, which is clearly not a great sign. So I start burning. The first Feeple is pretty slow, so I'm able to outrun him, but then that really fast Manticore comes in and starts coming, and he's faster than this Feeple for some reason, so I'm fine with that. I know, it's weird. I don't know why, I don't know what that Feeple is doing. But the Mana Core starts burning, and I'm like, well, I'll just run like this for a little bit. You can see Cap is actually fine. I was worried that the ship wouldn't be able to burn much because of the skills are a little lower on the Alpha character, and cruisers can hurt a little bit anyway when they're trying to kite for Cap, but it ended up being not a problem in any of the fights I had. So yeah, the Manticore is starting to outrun this people. He's getting closer now than this people is. And again, I'm like, I don't really want to be trapped running from these guys forever. Maybe I can turn and pick off the Manticore before this people catches up because he's slower. But now a second people's come in too, and you can see he ends up going like 3,200 or something. So he's really, really fast and actually covers the ground to me before either of the other two ships do, which makes turning and killing the Manticore probably a really terrible idea. You can see him here catching up and outrunning the Manticore. And I'm still just like, I got this Manticore, no problem. I'm not worried about that guy at all. And Manticores don't have a lot of HP, especially really fast ones like this. And of course they catch me, but that's fine. The Manticore is 40 mil and my ship's only 20 and I get that 10 back in insurance, so that was fine with me. And then the last engagement I wanted to show you was, oops, I'm gonna wait to start it actually. This one where I'm in a Blood Raider site in Wicked Creek. There was a guy running this is just a week ago, he's running a site in a Confessor, which I'm perfectly happy to fight, so I was like, I'll just go into the site and get him, but he left. And so I just ended up in the site and I was like, if I stay in the site, they'll probably come and try and force me out of it because they want it. And that was a good idea, except for the fact that the NPCs took away a whole bunch of my HP, and I don't have any way to rep it. So by the time they actually do come, I'm missing all my shields and armor. But this is right when the engagement starts, and you can maybe see D-scan. They're coming back in a Thrasher and a Sweeple. And this kind of illustrates to me, and it's, I don't know, maybe it has to do with clone states, maybe not, but like the depth of EVE combat. If you have these two ships coming into the site at the same time, you probably want to kill the Thrasher because you want to take out more DPS first and guarantee a kill, and then you'll have a better chance in the 1v1 against the Sweeple. But they come in staggered, so the Sweeple actually comes into the site like maybe 5 seconds before the Thrasher does. And then that creates a really difficult decision about which to actually shoot. They're both going to be, they're 30K away from me, they're both going to be burning towards me. And so I have this really tough decision about which one to engage. I'm worried if I go for the Sweeple first, the extra Thrasher DPS will cause me to lose before I kill either. But if I go for the Thrasher, I'm letting the Sweeple shoot me while I wait for the Thrasher to catch up. So I just think that's like a really wonderful sort of complexity that comes from really subtle things in EVE combat. And I think that's why I always come back to playing it so much. But here we go, like you can see this Sweeple's like maybe 10K ahead of the Thrasher. Thrasher's also a little slow to get moving. So this is a really tough call. I end up focusing on the Sweeple. I decided that I'd rather, in case I'm only gonna get one kill, I'd rather have the Sweeple kill, and I know he's gonna be here first. So I'll give that a shot. Yeah, but it really hurt that I didn't have HP to work with because of the site. At least the NPC isn't hitting me now. He's too far away. So I'm working away on the Sweeple here, but now the Thrasher's in range, so his damage is going to start coming in. And the Sweeple's shield went down pretty quick to begin with, but he was active tanked and then started repping a little bit after he was really low, so you can see him here pumping shields back. And I was worried I wouldn't even be able to break him, but it really goes down to the wire. Super, super close. I'm like, just don't get one more. I know it's hard. It's like, stop repping. Okay, but I got him. And then now, like, I have to get the Thrasher, like, really fast, get tackle on and start DPSing him. And I didn't have my guns overloaded, which really sucks. But this goes really close as well. So he wins. But that was pretty awesome fight. I think for being in a way a simple engagement, that like has so much of what's cool about EVE, and is available obviously to everyone alphas too. Like there's some kind of resource that we're both using as a way to kind of leverage conflict between each other, and then we have this amazing engagement with 3 people. So just to cover kind of what happened a little bit, I played for about 3 weeks. I lost around 250 million worth of ships in 3 weeks, with only alpha ships, remember, with no faction mods. And the reason I think like it's great to show that is it kind of shows how much money I was able to make while I was also PvPing. I really only played like on average an hour or 2 a day, I think. And I was still able to both make enough money to pay for tons of ships and spend the majority of my time PvPing. I killed over 450 million worth, which makes me ISK efficient, which means I'm pretty happy with myself. Of course, you can evaluate kind of how you're doing however you want, and I'm sure for a lot of people playing as alphas, there'll be a huge range of things they hope to accomplish. Instead of killing 1 people, I killed 3, so that was great. And yeah, most importantly, I had a lot of fun. I actually, there was a little talk kind of originally with alphas for, maybe pilots like Sutoni, are they going to take this as a challenge, play full time as an alpha? Is that going to be actually fun and rewarding? And after this, I was like, I can kind of see that. Like, I can see people using this as a format for competing with each other and kind of marking their accomplishments, using sort of a limit, the alpha limitations as a benchmark. But there's so much more that I couldn't do. Obviously, social gameplay is going to be the biggest thing for most alphas. This lets, both labs players come back and play with their social groups whenever they want. Even if they don't have the time to be playing constantly, they can come in once a month or whatever and be part of a fleet. And that's really, really cool. And also, there's so much more room now, so much more runway for new players to find a group that fits them before they get pressure from subscription to, decide if they've found a group that makes the game really perfect for them. Also, there's actually a ton more content. I only tried 7 out of the 14 available Galente ships I was trying to figure out, but I think that's how many I actually flew. So there's actually quite a bit more ships just within Galente, and then of course there's the 4 factions, or the other 3 factions. I will say that from talking to you guys here and from this experiment, one thing I think we're definitely going to have to deal with is the faction balance. Galente definitely seems like a standout right now in terms of just kind of overall power. I think Amar and Caldari have specific situations where they're going to be great, and Minmatar is fine, but it's kind of just below Galente in most spots in terms of what it's able to do. So I would expect a balance pass from us coming sometime in the semi-near future to address that, depending a bit on how people end up figuring out to use alphas. We just want to make sure that people coming into the game don't feel bad about the choice they make for which faction, because of course they're all awesome. And then, there's a lot more that I didn't try in terms of making money and just kind of general activity. Alphas can do gas mining. There's a lot of PvE options I didn't try, and there's a lot more creative things like ransoming people in local that will come up, I'm sure. So that's pretty much what I've got for you guys. I've gotten a lot of great feedback so far about Alpha, and we're going to do a roundtable in 20 minutes. And I'm going to have the rest of the team there so we can talk to you guys about whatever you think is interesting. I hope you're excited for Ascension and Alpha. It sounds like you are. Most of the conversation, I know like the MC guys are booting up a whole thing for Alphas, and basically we're just really happy with it and excited to see what you guys do and how you support the people coming in. So thanks a lot, and hopefully see most of you in the roundtable where we can talk more about my character or talk more about the other parts of the system or whatever you want. So thanks.